easy, but we can always share some ditties. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Welcome to Tea Time. Miss Liz in the house, that's right. And today has just been one of those days. I didn't even think I was going to make it in time. We got stuck in traffic a little bit, so we did make it in time, so thank goodness for that. We had a few minutes to spare. Tonight we are talking with Haley Straw, and we're going to talk about the Amish community. So for anybody that would like to ask any questions or comments or anything like that, you guys can leave those in the studio, or you can DM Miss Liz if you'd like to stay anonymous, and I can get those questions out to Haley during our broadcast. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to the platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all those good platforms. If I haven't mentioned them and you know what the other platforms are, jump onto those, give those a like, follow, and subscribe. Also jump onto the podcast apps, Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those good platforms, as well as if I haven't mentioned some of those, Miss Liz is on there too. You can check those out. And jump over to babyboomers.org, because Miss Liz is partnered with babyboomers.org. And if you're looking for a podcast that Miss Liz doesn't offer, or you'd like to be on a different podcast, you can check out, there's over 50 different podcasts on that, on babyboomers.org, and there's a flavor for everybody over there. So let's get started with disclaimer and then a beautiful intro, and then we're going to get Haley in here, and we're going to spill her tea. And her tea today is transformation, authenticity, and faith, crossing unseen boundaries, courage learned the hard way, and finding common grounds with all. That is the tea we are serving today in the house, and we're going to be talking about her 3 amazing books and all that good stuff. And we might have some little surprises along the way, so just stay tuned. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you're ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where stories remind us that sometimes the most meaningful journeys are not just about where we travel, but about the people we meet, the lives we witness, and the understanding we gain along the way. Today's guest brings us a fascinating and heartfelt perspective on culture, community, human connection, and the unexpected lessons that come from stepping into worlds different from our own. Please join me in welcoming Haley Straw, author, storyteller, and Amish taxi driver, whose experience driving members of Amish communities opened the doors to powerful conversations about faith, simplifies humanity, resilience, and connection. Through her work in storytelling, Haley shares the realities of navigating two very different worlds while building trust, friendships, and understanding along the way. Her experience reveals the beauty of slowing down and listening deeply and recognizing the common threads that connect people despite different lifestyles and beliefs. Today's Tea Time will explore human connections across different communities, simplifies simplicity, faith, and everyday life lessons, storytelling through real life experience, respect, understanding, and cultural perspectives, the importance of listening without judgment. Haley reminds us that some of the life greatest wisdom comes from ordinary conversations shared during everyday moment. So grab your cup and join us for a meaningful conversation filled with perspective, heart, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let's get Haley in here and let's spill some tea together. Welcome, Haley.
Hi, I brought my tea.
Oh, I don't have your sound. That's
Wait,
just
what?
there we go. We got you.
Okay. No, I said I brought my tea.
Well, welcome, Haley, to Tea Time. Let's get to know you a little bit before we get to know about your books in the Amish community. Who was Haley as a little girl, and who is Haley now?
As a little girl, I was afraid of everything, and I didn't like myself. Yeah, I just thought all kinds of bad things about myself and had no confidence. That's who I was as a little girl.
And as a grown woman, who are you now?
Well, I'm old now, so the last 10 years, I've become a completely different person, very confident, and I've embraced my bullheadedness and determination, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes and to just keep pushing through.
So tell us a little bit, Haley, about how you got into the Amish community and how you became an Amish taxi driver.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, which is like 1,700 miles from where I'm at now. And my husband, he's my ex-husband now, but he and I and our 6 children moved to rural Missouri 11 years ago, actually this month, 11 years ago right now. And we were actually given a house, which is a whole nother story, but we were actually given a house. We had never been to Missouri before. Things were not going so well in Oregon. So we're like, sure, let's just get a fresh start in Missouri, a place we've never been with nobody that we know there. And I made a friend. She befriended me. She was in her 70s. And when we got here, she's like, hey, Haley, do you want me to show you the Amish stores? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but if they have cheap food, I'm up for it. Because I have 6 children, right? And we had no money, we had no job. So she took me out to an Amish store. And it's for people that are watching live, because I like to show trinkets from Amish country. So this is a receipt from an Amish store, and it's just handwritten. Because in the Amish stores, at least the ones in my area, they don't have electronics of any kind. So they handwrite their receipts and they add it up with a little calculator. It's just super sweet. But she took me to an Amish store, and then they didn't have salt. And this story is actually in my book. It's my first book, My Journey into the Amish World. They didn't have any salt at this store that we were looking for, like the mineral salt. So we were directed to go to a house down the street. And turns out that Amish houses, they sell stuff from their houses sometimes. If you ask, you learn. Anyway, while we were at the house, got the salt, got back in my pickup truck with my kids, a skinny guy, I can't remember, so I changed everybody's names in my books because I don't want to out anybody, but we'll just call him Enos, okay? A skinny guy named Enos, he saw my pickup truck sitting there and he ran out of his goat barn where he was milking goats, and he comes up to my pickup truck. I hadn't talked to Amish before, right? I didn't know what was going on. And he's like, asked me to roll down my window, and then he's checking out my truck, and he knows about the truck. Like, he knew about the engine and all kinds of stuff about the truck. He's like, oh, this is interesting. He's like, hey, we need taxi drivers. Do you want to drive for us? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying, dude. So he's like, do you have a piece of paper and a pen? And I said, no. So he just took his skinny little legs and he scurried into his house. He came out a couple minutes later with a sticky note with his name, Enos Pingrich, we'll say his name is, and he wrote his address on it. And then he handed me the sticky paper and he said, well, here you go. You know, we pay really well. We pay 75 cents a mile. Okay, this is for a 1-ton diesel pickup truck crew cab. He was offering me 75 cents a mile. Not good. And so I took the notes and I went home. And there's the man, he has since passed on, but I went to church with a man who had started driving taxi for that community when the community first began, like in the year 2000. So I asked him what was going on with this little note from Enos Gingrich. And he said, well, they're looking for taxi drivers. They like your truck. I also have a big van. Anyway, for people who are on there, they can see I have a big van. That's the main vehicle I drive Amish taxi on, is this van. I named it Barbie because she has a big backside. Anyway, so he said, well, I said, well, where's the phone number? How am I supposed to call this guy? And my friend at church said, well, they don't have phone numbers in this community. So I wouldn't be able to reach him unless I contacted a driver in his community and had the driver go out and talk to the guy for me. And here I can show you though. So most Amish communities have these. This is a phone shack. It's a 3-foot by 3-foot building, and they have a landline in it. So they have to go out of their home, down the street, down the driveway. No heat, no air conditioning in it. You know, just sweat it out, being attached to a landline to make calls. But so what I was advised to do, since I couldn't call the guy, right, because they didn't have a phone shack, is to make a flyer and go put it up in the Amish grocery stores or businesses, and then make a little tab on the flyer, and then they could call me. And I would tell them that I had a big pickup truck and a big van. And they asked me to start to drive for them. That's how I got started. Like, that's the long story. The short answer is they asked me.
So, Haley, what fears did you have stepping into that world? Did you have any fears?
Fears? Oh,
Yeah,
my
fears.
stars. Yeah, that's another story in my book. Like the first time I got to know the Amish, yeah, I was out of my mind, crazy with fear. I actually went to an Amish bakery with my friend who introduced me to the Amish. And I remember walking in there and just being petrified. And her bakery, I can't remember the girl's name, we'll just call her Lydia. So her bakery, it was actually in her washroom. Do you know what an Amish washroom is?
Do you have a picture, Haley?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I've got my little trusty Kindle, and I could have sworn I put a picture of a washroom up here. If I didn't, I'm going to have to. Shoot. I think I missed that one. Okay, so a washroom is where it's a room like outside their kitchen, and they have their Ringer washing machine and their Ringer washing machine. They have their Ringer washing machine in it, and then they have a bathtub hanging on the wall because they take their bath in the washroom. The Amish that I drive a lot for, they don't have bathrooms. They take a bath once a week in their washroom, and they fill up the water, the bathtub with water from their well that they heat on their stove. So her bakery was in this room with her washing machine and with her bathtub hanging on the wall. And then she has shelves. There's a tractor going by. Anyway, she has shelves where she put her baked goods, and she and her daughter just baked these things like every day, bread, pies, and they had homemade butter. And then they also had rugs that were woven rugs by them for sale. And it was just a little cottage industry like this mom and her daughters ran. And so I remember walking in there and I was just petrified to move because I didn't want to say anything or do anything that would offend these Amish people, because I'm this kind of hippie person from Portland, Oregon, right? I don't understand this culture out here. Obviously, I didn't offend them too bad because they like me as a driver.
Well, we have a question here for you that came in from Anita,
Sure.
and it's, Haley, what was your very first thought when you were asked to drive the Amish families?
I thought, what planet did I land on when I moved to Missouri? That was my first thought.
And Haley, what surprised you the most about the Amish community?
Okay, what surprises me the most about the Amish or their community? The Amish? So the Amish, I learned that they are human because I've got, if you can tell my shelf behind me, I've got the top shelf is all like romance books, you know, Susan Wise. I can't remember the names. Anyway, all the Amish romance books, okay, the love inspired and whatnot, and then I've got true stories below it. All I ever knew about the Amish was the romanticized version of them. And then I start driving them, and I learned that they sin like we do. You know, they have weaknesses like we do. They they're human. They're real people. They're not some fantasy that all these stories write about.
Right. There's so much that, and that's when you reached out to be on Tea Time, I was like, absolutely, let's get this out there because we want to show all walks of life, right? That people come from all different communities and all different cultures and traditions. And the Amish community is one thing I have not had on Tea Time. What is one thing that would surprise me?
About the Amish?
Yeah.
Do you want a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, we can do good and bad. Let's start with the good.
The good? Okay, the good is how well here I like to show, sorry, I homeschool my 6 kids, and so I teach a lot, and anyway, I'm kind of a show and tell person. So community, their sense of community like covers so many areas of their life. In their community, they have their grocery stores, right? They have their lumber mills, they have their apothecaries, they have their people in their communities who know how to pull teeth, who know how to give stitches, who know how to treat burns, like who know how to do chiropractic care. They have people in their community who know how to do midwifery. I'm trying to think what else you have to have in a community. They're just a really well organized, like functioning community. Like if society completely collapsed around them, you know what? They would be okay. And I'm telling you, so they like that. This is an Amish publication that comes out once a month. But their community not only is within their community, like say the community of Jamesport, Missouri, but it extends to the greater Amish, and they help each other so much. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And so I was really smart. I bought a farm in their community. So they promised me that if we ever needed anything, like, and things go bad, that we're good. We're part of their community.
Well, before I get into some more questions, let's talk about some of your books. I'm going to pull up the first one, and it's My Journey into the Amish World, Tales of the Amish Taxi Driver. Tell us a little bit about it and tell my audio listeners what we're looking at on the screen.
Okay, well, first off, English was my worst subject in school. I hated it. I did everything to avoid it, okay? Never been a big reader until I got older. But what happened was, so we moved here from Portland, right, to Missouri, middle of nowhere. And I started becoming acquainted with the Amish, and I would just like write these things down because my 6 kids, my oldest was 17 when we moved. 17? Yeah, no. She must have been 15 when we moved out here. My youngest was 2, something like that. Anyway, so I thought, well, I need to document this for my kids because what a crazy life we have, you know, going to the Amish. And then I started driving the Amish. And so I started documenting all these experiences. And then I went back to Oregon to visit. And my friends just surrounded me. My family surrounded me. And they're like, tell us what the Amish are like. And they had 1,000 questions for me. And I thought, you know what, I better put this into a book. And then they can just read that and know what's going on. So
do you want to tell my audio listeners a little bit what's on the cover, like the colors and what they're looking, because they can't see the video, so they're just listening to the audio. So if you'd like to share a little bit.
Oh, okay, so what's on the cover? So I have a picture of the maxi van. So it's a 15-passenger van. And I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not allowed to say on the podcast. But to the Amish, they love to look at big vans. They drool when they see big vans because that is their ticket outside of their Amish community. So I have a picture of that, and I've got a picture of a buggy, and then I've just got a picture of a barn and a sunset, because oftentimes I would drive at sundown and I would still be driving at sunrise. They push their drivers pretty hard.
Well, we have a couple of comments coming in, and this is from Yomolo. Welcome, everyone. Wishing both host and guests a wonderful conversation today. We have from the Tools for Everyday Living, former Amish taxi driver. That's definitely a story I haven't heard before. How did the journey even begin? So how long have you been an Amish taxi driver, Haley?
So I drove full time for 8 years, and truth be told, I haven't driven for about a year. I have driven Amish to so I actually live in a century-old jailhouse. I'm in a little community outside the Amish community, so I've hired Amish to help me restore my jailhouse. That's the only driving that I've been doing for them lately. But what was the other question? So 8 years full time, and now it's if I feel like it.
So for 8 years, we have a question that came in here. How did driving others through important life moments impact you personally?
Oh my stars, it changed my life. The next book I'm going to write, and I need to sit down and write it, is going to be about love, loss, and legacy. Is going to be about birth, death, and weddings, because I have all kinds of stories that I've never shared about those moments. I've been with Amish when they've had their babies. I've been with Amish when their babies have died. I've been with Amish when an older man died, and we were on a trip to Arkansas. I've been there through these experiences, and it really has touched my heart, and to see the way that they handle things and those traditions surrounding it. Yeah, I'm a better person for sure for having this opportunity.
Well, we have a question here from Mac, and it's, what was the biggest fear you had before taking your first Amish driving assignment?
The biggest fear? That's a great question. So I had a lot of fears. Okay, and I did write about that in my book. I wrote about my first trip. So it was actually Christmas time, and I had just put my little flyer up at the store, and I got a call the day before Christmas Eve from this really grumpy man, and he's like, he didn't like my price, and he's like, "You're too expensive. I'm going to try to find another driver." I said, "Fine, do it, whatever." He called me on Christmas Eve. He's like, "Well, we're going to have to hire you." I said, "Okay." So number one, I was afraid of the Amish because this guy was so mean on the phone. I'm like, what am I doing? And number two, I had never driven more than 4 hours by myself in one stretch. And I had committed to driving a van load of Amish. Plus, I did bring 3 of my children because it was Christmas and there was room in the van. I had to drive them all the way to Kentucky. It was like a 12-hour drive. So I was afraid out of my mind. And then I didn't know how to behave when the Amish were in the van. I have never been hired to drive before. I didn't know how to stay in an Amish home. Like there, I just had 1,000 fears.
Well, let's talk about the second book, because the second book kind of has like a Christmas theme on it. So let's talk about book 2. What can my audio listeners see? Because I want you to explain like the cover. It's kind of similar to the first book, but what's different on the second book?
So on the second book, there is a deer, and there's the big van, right? Because I want to be consistent. And then there's the buggy, and then there's the barn. But we added a deer and a cop because Amish Christmas mishaps. So it's like from a couple trips, but just over Christmas. And I never set to write a book about this, but I documented everything, and I'm like, okay. So my husband and I drove low order Amish to Wisconsin during the week that the deadly Elmer blizzard hit. And I want to say this was in 2022. And everything that could go wrong absolutely went wrong. We got stuck in a ditch at negative 33 degrees Fahrenheit, literally, with Amish women and babies in our car. We hit a deer. We got pulled over by a cop. We blew 2 tires. We got stuck in the snow getting into the Amish community. It was just outrageous. Like we had to pull over on the side of the road because the whiteout conditions were so bad we couldn't even see. It was just a nightmare. But God held He held us through the way, and there were a lot of lessons that I learned about resilience, both my own and the Amish resilience.
So how did you get the title for your second book?
Amish Christmas Mishaps. It just came to my head.
So in your books, are they like little mini short stories, Haley?
Yeah, so like Chicken Soup for the Soul, each story stands on its own.
I like that, chicken soup.
Yeah, me too.
So is there a recipe that you learned from the Amish community that you make for your children today?
All my stars. So the Amish have actually taught me to make cheese. In fact, today I was at an ex-Amish friend of mine's house. She's actually living in our house at our farm, ex-Amish. So she still has all the Amish stuff, right? But she gave me raw milk from her cow this morning, and so I can make cheese from that. One of my favorite recipes that I got first from the Amish, we were in Colorado with some Amish friends near Colorado Springs. There's a community south of Colorado Springs, and they made this cake, but they put this Rice Krispie marshmallow chocolate stuff on top.
Oh.
And actually, yeah, I like to collect recipes. I share them in my newsletter. I also am working on recipe compilations. But yeah, and one thing I have to say, when I first started driving Amish taxi and I was at a wedding in Wisconsin, and I went up to the drivers that were standing around talking while they're waiting for the wedding. And I just kind of stood there and listened, and then they started talking to me. And they're looking at me, and I told them I'm new. So I asked my questions, and they said, you know what? We're going to warn you. You're going to gain 25 pounds the first few months you drive Amish because their food is the best and they don't stop feeding you.
So you ate a lot of good stuff, right?
Yes, but I walked a lot too. So I did not gain that 25 pounds. Yeah.
So we have a comment here. As a homeschooling mother of 6, how is that for you to homeschool your children?
I have a very interesting take on homeschool, and I think that life can be school. And so when my 3 youngest in particular, mostly the 2 youngest, when we moved out here, they traveled with me. They would take turns going on trips with me all over the country. And so I'd have that one-on-one time with them, and they'd get to experience all kinds of things that they never would have otherwise. But we did a lot of reading, and we did a lot of hands-on things, right? Like, to me, homeschooling is gardening. It's learning to run a business, right? It's learning to get along with people in different cultures and traveling to places in history. So that was most of their homeschool experience.
One thing in that shows everybody is human, right? And you're showing your children that don't just judge a book by its cover just because of a name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a question here from Tools, and it's a unique role.
You're going to have to say that one again.
How did you balance family life while taking on such a unique role?
Oh, so actually, so my husband did not have a job when I was doing this. So he stayed at home. Like I said, I would take 1 or 2 kids. And typically Amish trips are only 3 days. They're like a 1-day trip or a 3-day trip. But I would actually pay my oldest daughter to kind of help with stuff at the house. And then we've got technology, right? So we would do phone school when I was away. So we would do our lessons over the phone and the computer. But yeah, that's a good question.
Well, Haley, we talked about some recipes just before we went into those questions. And this is your 3rd book, An Amish Thanksgiving Table. So what can we find in this book?
Actual food that I've eaten, because I'm not a photographer. So recipes that they would have at their Thanksgiving meal. And then every recipe has a little page for notes, and it has a little tip. Like in my main books, I have an Amish proverb at the end of every chapter. So like in this one says, for example, Saloma, it's kind of dark in here. Saloma adds, the nuts last. So they're a surprise, she says with a twinkle in her eye. Laughter is the frosting on life's cake. So each of them have little, Amish wisdom with them and authentic pictures of authentic food. And that I actually went to my friend's house, and I'm like, hey, I'm reading your recipe book. Can I take pictures? So she let me take pictures of all kinds of stuff and gave me recipes. So they're authentic Amish recipes.
So Haley, for my audio listeners, what does the cover of this book look like?
Okay, so it's very simple. It's just a pinwheel in the middle, and then they have the name across the top, an Amish Thanksgiving table, recipes and reflections from my first Amish Thanksgiving. Oh, there's also a story in it too, because I am a storyteller. And then I thought it would be fun to take a handwritten recipe from my Amish friend and make it the background of the front cover. So I'm really proud of it. Actually, I think it looks really cool.
I like it because it's unique. It's one of a kind, right? Like, it's thinking outside of the box. And that's what I love. I love outside of the box thinkers, because society tells us that it should look a certain way, but you went and you did it with the heart, right? You found the heart of the recipe and you brought it to life. And I think it's really different. We have a question here from Thrive Time Show is, did any particular Amish family leave a lasting impact on your life?
Actually, there is a family that has, because I have been with them. So they were we did a family trip with them to Colorado, and that's another book I need to write. Oh my stars. But they have just befriended us, and our kids were friends growing up. But I have been with them through death. And I actually through 2 deaths, the death of a baby and the death of the patriarch of the family. And I have been with them through, like for right now, for example, the ex-Amish that are living in my husband and my farmhouse out in the Amish community, they are part of that family. And so I've watched that family go through so much, like death, remarriage, leaving the Amish community. Yeah, I would say that they've been an important part of my life.
What have you seen about the people leaving the Amish community? Is there a reason why they're leaving the community? Is it because they want the like the upgraded electronics? Like, is there a reason for them leaving?
So the Amish can actually, if they want electrical, and if they want the smartphone, what they need to do is become New Order Amish. There are quite a bit of New Order Amish out east, and they can have all those fancy things and still be considered Amish. What I have found from most of the ex-Amish that I have spoken with is that they have left because they don't feel like they have the freedom to worship God. They feel like so much of God's truth of the Bible is withheld from them because they just have to go by what the preacher tells them. Like a lot of communities aren't allowed to read the Bible. So there have been several Amish leaving because either taxi drivers or non-Amish friends have introduced the gospel to them in a different way and opened their eyes to a different way of worshiping and of understanding God. Does that make sense?
And Haley, what message would you like to bring to the table today that people may not know about the Amish community by sharing your story today?
Oh, my message? Okay, that they're human. Yeah, I didn't tell you the thing that surprised me the most. That was the negative one. I only told you the positive one. Should I tell you the negative one?
Sure, let's go into the negative.
Okay, we'll go into the negative. So there are Amish in jail because Amish commit crimes. That shocked the socks off of me. I don't know if it does you, but
they're human beings, right? Humans commit crimes.
I'm just so naive that there are Amishes that have unalived people, like that have done all kinds of things, and unfortunately, it's a really big problem. Like abuse within family dynamics is a huge problem among the Amish. And I'm writing a series of articles. Are we allowed to say websites on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
you're comfortable saying.
I'm a contributor to Amish America. So it's just amishamerica.com. It's been up for probably 20 years. So I'm a main contributor to it, and I write articles, and I've been writing a series of articles called Echoes from Amish Country. So I'm writing about the abuse and about how they are finding healing from the abuse right now is the series that I'm writing. The Amish are resilient. They are so strong, and they give so much faith to God. And if you want a message, I love Amish proverbs. So here's one that kind of goes with that theme. And it is forgive and forget instead of resent and remember.
Oh.
So, yeah, the English are really good at holding grudges, I've been told by several Amish. We just need to get it to God.
So are there different types of Amish communities? Like, is there different names for them? Because you just said the English Amish.
Oh, no, we are English. I'm sorry. The Amish consider anybody that's non-Amish to be English because we speak English. But yeah, there are different groups. You've got the Beachy Amish, you've got the New Order Amish, the Low Order Amish, the Swartz and Truber Amish. I think there are a few more, but I don't remember. But yeah, you've got different kind of sects within the Amish community. They have different rules and different lifestyles.
Well, we have another question here for you, Haley. What surprised you the most about the Amish community compared to what people commonly assume? Because a lot of people assume a lot about the Amish community. What surprised you the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. I honestly thought the Amish were like better than everybody else. That's why I was afraid of them. That's why I was afraid of being who I am in front of them, because I'm very human. But they are very human, just like the rest of us. And I write about some of those human things that they do in my books.
Right, because they dress different and they live different, they get judged a lot, right, without knowing. And I think that this is interesting that you're coming to the table and you're bringing this attention to the Amish communities, because not too much of the Amish speak up, right, and share their stories. Have you ever seen the TV show? I think it was on TLC, the Amish community show, where they were sharing into the community, because they don't like to have cameras or anything, right, in their communities?
They don't. I'm not sure what show you're referring to, like Amish in the City or
I
What was the other
can't
one?
think. I can't think of it. I think it was like 5, 6 years ago. They had a bunch of Amish children that were leaving the community.
Oh,
It
Breaking Amish?
Yes, I believe that was the name of it.
Okay. Yeah, I've
So
seen that, and a lot of that is staged,
okay,
and there is no Amish. What is it called? The Amish Mafia? That's not real either, just in case anybody wants to know. Okay.
but that's
Yeah,
what I mean, and that's why I like having these authentic conversations, right? Because there's a lot of stagedness in life and a lot of extremeness to what reality really is. When people are live in the community and they live it like you live the experience, so you're able to share that experience. But somebody who says, "Oh no, there's a Amish mafia. Oh, there's a Amish this," you live there, so so you can speak it.
right. Well, yeah, and on the Amish Mafia, I remember my son and my daughter, my two youngest children, and me, and three Amish men. Okay, we went to Mississippi because they wanted to go to a grazing convention in Jackson, Mississippi, and we walked into a Shoney's, and I walked in with my two children, right, and these three huge Amish guys, and the guy at Shoney's, like the host, he's like, "Wow, you guys are the Amish Mafia." He was like totally just going on and on about that. And my Amish friends are like playing it up, yeah, better watch out. But yeah, no, there's no Amish mafia.
Well, Haley, let's talk about your tea, because the tea you gave me was transformation, authenticity, and faith. Why'd you give me those 3 words?
Um, I guess because they're what came to mind, like the title of my book. Okay. Um, so do you want me to just kind of go through it or?
Yeah, go
Okay,
through the words that you gave me.
sure. Okay, so transformation. So as I became an Amish taxi driver, I thought I was driving just like a normal taxi, right? You just get in, go from point A to point B. But it was more than that because these are real humans and real families, and we made real connections. And those connections transformed me. And my assumptions, were shattered, and I made deep friendships. And I've become a better person for it. And I've also learned to be less judgmental for it. So it's transformed me in that way.
And authenticity. Why'd you give me that word?
Authenticity. Okay, so the Amish, they appreciate honesty and being like a real human. They don't hide who they are, right? And in fact, they don't hide who they are so much. Like in our area, the Amish are not allowed to, like things that we might want to conceal, right? They don't wear makeup. The Amish women are not allowed to shave. So I have seen a lot of really hairy legs, mustaches. Like they're not allowed to bathe but once a week, so that so they get smelly. They're not allowed to change their clothes in our area but once a week. So they're just being who they are, right? And they're going out in public just like that. Like this is me and how I live my life according to how God, how I feel like God is telling me. So, and they're not out to impress anybody except for God. And so that is the lesson they taught me. They taught me that I could just run around like the barefoot hippie I am with my herbal tea and my green smoothies, and I can ask dumb questions and I can laugh at myself and just be me. And they totally accepted that, but most people would not.
And the last word you gave me was faith.
Yeah. So they live their faith, right? They dress according to their faith. They live according to their faith, both in their community and in all of the rules that they live day by day and in how they worship. And, our faiths differ. Actually, I'm a Mormon. And so it's a kind of different faith too. But even though I'm a Mormon and they're the Amish, we have these commonalities, right? We both love to serve. We both care for our families. And we all rely on God. I can't even talk. On God through hard times. So it just looks a little different, right? But we all have the same goal.
Well, we have some questions here. The stories from weddings, funerals, and hospital trips must have provided a unique window into the people's lives. Is there a wedding, a funeral, or a hospital trip that really stands out to you, Haley?
Um, so full disclosure, I've never actually attended a wedding. I have driven to weddings, and then as taxi drivers, we usually either wait. The wedding is an all-day affair. It's like from 9 a.m., but you get there at 7:30 and it ends like at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So I've been outside of the weddings, eaten the food, watched the people, and then hospital visits. My story. So 8 years of driving, I've got stories. I can't, oh, my stars. I can tell you, yeah, deaths, but I'm probably going to reserve that for the book. But I can tell you, I went to an Amish house one time, and I don't remember why I stopped there, but she was my friend, the family, you know, that are my favorite Amish. And I walked in, and let me figure out a fake name. Sarah. So Sarah greets me at the door, and she greets me at the door. She's like, "Hey, Haley, we've had an exciting day around here." And she has a jar in her hand. Okay. And in the jar is her son's finger. She's like, "Yeah, Harvey just popped off his finger when Mary slammed the door on his finger. And look, here's his finger, and I'm gonna pickle it." And I'm like, "Oh my stars. Like, this is true." Like the tip of his fingers in the jar. And I'm like, "So you're gonna go to the hospital? What are you gonna do about it?" And she's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And I knew her answer. So the Amish actually they don't go to the hospital as much as us, because if you pop off the finger in a door, they have this cream, and it's called B&W ointment, and I actually have some books on it. And they actually have classes about it, like that they attend. And it's this B&W ointment, and it was formulated by this guy named Joe Keim, that is his real name. In upstate Pennsylvania, his son got severely burned, and that happens a lot with the Amish because of their lifestyle. You know, they heat with fire, right? They're boiling water on their stove, you know. It's kind of a dangerous lifestyle. But his son got severely burned, and so he went out into the grove behind his property, and he prayed and he asked God for inspiration on how to have a more gentle way of treating burns, because the way we treat burns is so barbaric in our hospitals. And so he came up with this formula, and it's called burn and wound cream, because like if you pop off your finger, you know, you can just, I'm not saying to anybody to do this, I'm not a doctor, I'm just letting you know. But this is what they do. They put this burn and wound cream on it, and they use burdock plants to draw out things. Anyway, you can look up a book online. But that's what they do instead of going to the hospital. They take care of their own things. So it's not a hospital story. But I think it was.
But you know, these are the stories that the listeners want to hear, because they want to hear the life experience of your journey as well. The next question we have for you is, how did these experiences influence your understanding of community and support?
Oh, my stars. If I didn't have to get in my car and dress like that, I would so want to be Amish. Actually, sometimes on my TikTok lives, I'll have an outline sometimes, and I have an outline on relationships, and I talk about community. And what my friend told me was that it's a sacrifice. Like, in order to be a part of their community, they have to sacrifice a lot of their autonomy. They have to agree to these sets of rules called the Ordnung that they read every 6 months for the baptized members in church. And they have to sign that and agree to it. And I will tell you, from community to community, like if you don't like the rules in one community, you can move to another community. But from my vantage points, the Amish are healthy, they are wealthy, they are wise, they have community. Like, there's no reason they don't have smartphones unless they're New Order, right? And so many of us in our area with cars and our smartphones and all that, we feel so alone. But the Amish, when they have to travel half a mile to their neighbor's house and they can't call them, they don't have that feeling, right? They know they'll be taken care of. They know there's somebody there if they need them. And it's just such a beautiful thing, I think.
Absolutely. Do you feel that the community is more connected without the electronics?
Yes. Oh, my stars, because I'm in a house, right? I've got a husband, he's a software developer. And then the kids, like, they're all on their electronics all day. I'm like, what? Like, what? Do we even live together? Right? And I've been in Amish homes, and I've had meals with them, and I've had devotions with them, and, you know, spent the night with them in the morning, and they're so connected. They'll eat together, and then maybe the father will go read his newspaper, and the boys will wrestle around, and the women will go clean the kitchen together, and maybe they'll just sit and talk, or they'll read, or they'll go out to the farm and maybe work on a project, but they're connected. We're not connected.
Yeah, and that's what scares me, because we are in the same room with that electronic, and we'll send a text message instead of just saying, "Hey, mom, what you doing? What's for dinner? Like have that conversation, but instead it'll be the text across the table, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous to me. Yeah.
We have a question here from Lori, and it's, did your faith deepen through these journeys, or did it change in an unexpected way?
Oh my stars. I should have my list of Amish proverbs in front of me. It has deepened because the Amish, so for an example, I'll tell you a little bit about one story that'll be my next book. So we were in Arkansas, and they were going to a conference, and a man died. Okay. A man died, and I was with his wife, and I had to tell his wife that he died. And we were just in the van. You know, her husband was somewhere else, and he drowned. So I had to tell her, like I got the call and I had to tell her husband died. And she and I both just started bawling our brains out, right? And Amish women don't hug. Okay, they just don't, they're just like hands off. And I sat there and I held her and she cried. And the first thing that she said was, "Do you think he made it to heaven?" And I said, "Of course he did. Of course he made it to heaven." So they live to get to heaven. Like they sacrifice because they feel like that's what will get them to heaven. And with things like dying, like he was whitewater rafting. And so, you know, after everything settled down and I was talking to family and I said, so do you think that he would have died if you did go whitewater rafting? And their view was that you have a death date, and no matter what you're doing, where you're at, you're going to die that day. And so since they have this belief, they just accept it as part of life. And then, you know, they deal with it and then they just go on trusting that was God's plan and that it's for the better for everyone.
And Haley, what is one thing you can teach the listeners out there about homeschooling that they might not understand fully?
Well, so I have a really different view on homeschooling. So I prayed about it, right? Because I was public schooled. And everyone around me was public school. My mother-in-law was a public school teacher. Like I was bombarded with opposition for my choice to homeschool. But I had to decide for myself, what is the goal of education? So everyone has to decide that for themselves and for their children. And as I read about it, I mean, I have so many homeschool books on different modalities across the board, and I studied these. But I decided that my goal for my children, for their education, was to be happy, healthy adults who knew who they were, who discovered their purpose in life. I believe that each of us has a calling from God, if you're a Christian, whatever. Anyway, as a Christian, I believe that each of us has a calling from God and that we have a way that we can uniquely change the world. And that part of our mission in this life is to discover that so that we can both have a happy, fulfilling life and provide for ourselves. And it's so that we can serve others and spread the light of God through the world. So for me, that was the goal of my children's education, was to have a purpose in life, to serve others and to serve themselves and to have joy.
We have a question here for you, Haley, and I'd like to get it. Has writing your book helped you reflect differently on these experiences?
Upon the what?
Has writing your book helped you reflect differently on these experiences?
Reflect upon these experiences? I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's helped me remember the things that I've learned, right? Because there are lessons in all of these adventures I've had. And it's also a way, like my friends asked me to write, well, they didn't ask me to write this book, but they were asking me. So it's a history of the Amish, right? And it's a history of the things we can learn from them. And it's also a history of my life, like for my posterity and my children's, you know, because they were involved in this and their posterity.
And Haley, how do your children feel about the Amish community?
Oh, my stars, they're all tired of them. That's why I get on TikTok live every night and I tell Amish stories, because none of my kids want to hear it anymore, even if they're in my books. And some of them are in my books, and they're done with it. They're teenagers.
So Haley, how do you feel about TikTok?
I mean, I'm in a different section, right? Because I just tell stories about the Amish. I'm with the old people. And it's fun to interact with people on lives. I'm still nervous, though, because I can't see who's looking at me.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Of virtual land. You're like, who's watching? Who's listening? Who's in the next room over there? It is a little creepy sometimes because we'll just never know who's looking at us. Uh, Haley, what do you hope readers will take away from all of your stories?
Oh my stars. Okay, that's a really good question. I hope that they will take away a love of life no matter what happens to you. Because the Amish are like that. No matter what happens to them, they find joy and they look for the good in the situation.
Well, now I got some lightning bolt questions for you. And the first one is coffee, tea, or quiet country road? What do you
Tea.
prefer?
Tea.
You're a tea girl?
I have my tea, I told you. Right here.
Favorite tea?
Peppermint from my yard.
Oh, that's the best. One word that describes your courage.
Hesitant.
Oh, nice one. Why?
Oh, because I just second guess everything. I don't want to screw up. I don't want to screw up, right?
Most meaningful lesson from the road.
It's okay to be who you are. God made you that way, and that's what He expects of you.
What gives you peace?
Oh my stars! You know what gives me peace? The ocean. I wish I had it in front of me. The ocean gives me peace. That's my peaceful place.
Does it bring you like your calmness, a place to reflect and release?
Yeah. Well, in scriptures, the words of God combined with the ocean. That's what I hold on to when I have hard times. Yeah.
And what does home mean to you?
Home means love and unconditional love and peace.
If you could give your story a title, not a book that you've written, but a title of your story, what would it be?
Tripping through life.
There we go. Good girl. Now I want to get into the other parts of teas that you've given me. The first one is courage learned the hard way. How'd you learn your courage?
I threw myself into it.
she threw herself in, guys. And the next one you gave me was finding common ground with all.
Yeah, that's just it seems like we tend to put people in boxes, like, right? Like those are the Amish, those are the Mormons, those are the Muslims, like we other people. And we look for our differences, and then we judge people harshly for their differences instead of looking for commonalities and building on that, building connection and building community on that.
And where's the next one that you gave me? I'm trying to find it. Oh, crossing unseen boundaries.
Well, to me, that was just going into the Amish world, because I was raised, so Portland, Oregon, where I was born and raised and spent a lot of my life, is a very white place. And it's kind of like everyone's kind of the same, not a lot of diversity, right? Kind of white middle class. So honestly, I went to college with white people. Mormons are mostly white people. I mean, Amish are white too, but we're kind of all the same. Anyway, the Amish are completely different. So I had the courage to step into their world and to completely immerse myself into their world. I guess that's what that means, and I'm better for it. I mean, I'm telling you, I was shaking in my boots, like getting to know these people and going in their homes and driving them. I mean, right? It's a very serious thing. My life is in their hands. Their life is in my hands.
Well, it is, right? Because you're the taxi driver, so you're the safety of your passengers.
Yeah.
Now, you say all my stars. What does all my stars mean?
All my stars? All my stars is just, so as a Mormon, I don't cuss. So that's just my way of cussing.
Well, you know what? I like that kind of cussing.
Are you? That's funny.
And Haley, if you could have one theme song for your life, what song would it be?
There's a theme song?
Yeah, you can create a theme song for your life. What would it be?
I am not a music person. Okay, here's one. So this is a Mormon children's song, and I taught my children, I play the piano, taught my children this song. It's called Teach Me to Walk in Faith. Yeah, Teach Me to Walk in Faith. That would be the first one that came up.
Is that one of your top favorite songs to turn to?
Yeah, because life is all about walking in faith, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. So, yeah.
And Haley, what final message would you have for everybody today?
All my stars. Okay, I'm going to pull my list of proverbs, okay?
Sounds
And I'm
good.
going to share a proverb because to me, Amish wisdom speaks so much to me. And that's why I've got a proverb at the end of each story. Okay, am I not finding my proverbs? Yeah, if I could look at my phone, I've got my favorite one. It's like, oh, purple. Okay, I can't look. Ah, okay, how about, sorry. I'm just going to read what's in my book because maybe it's the heat. We don't, in this old jailhouse that we've got, we do not have air conditioning on the 3rd floor because it's 100 years old. Okay, so here's one. I just picked a random one. So here's a really good one that applies to the topic ahead. If you always wait for the right time, you might never begin. That's an Amish proverb.
Do you have all 3 books with you?
Yeah, I have the books right here.
Could you hold them up one by one?
Okay.
So people can see the incredible. The pictures that I pull up are not giving enough justice to those books because those are beautiful. Those are beautiful covers.
I don't know. So that's the first one. That's the second one. Okay, but the third one, all I have left is a proof. So ignore the proof. Ignore that.
and
That's the only one I've got right now. It's not Thanksgiving. I don't have a lot in hand.
so Haley, where can people find these books?
So they can find them at my website. Can I also show my little book bundle if they order from my website? Can we show that?
That is gorgeous.
I crochet. I do not sit still. So I crochet little hearts. They're called pocket hearts. So they get a little pocket heart and 2 bookmarks and a postcard. So HaleyStraw.com is where I sell my books, and I can write you a little note. If you want, I can personalize it and I wrap it up from the jailhouse.
From the jailhouse. So you're getting the heart from the jailhouse. I love it.
From the jailhouse, that's right.
If you could just spell out your website for the audio listeners out there.
HaleyStraw.com.
Well, Haley, thank you so much for joining me on Tea Time. I really had a pleasure joining and sitting with you and learning a little bit more. If anybody would like to know more, please reach out to Haley. If you'd like to have her on your show and all that good stuff, reach out to her as well. You just never know what doors you open when you sit and you have different conversations with different people from all walks of life. So let me just do a quick wrap up of what today's Tea Time was, and we will be back at 7 p.m. with Randy Lee Boleslaff, and she'll be here for the 4th time, and we'll get some updates about her book. We got some goody news for you guys tonight at 7. What a truly thoughtful and eye-opening conversation today. Haley, thank you for bringing your warmth, honesty, and experience to the Tea Time table. Your stories remind us how powerful simple human connections can be in a world that often moves too fast to truly see one another. Today's conversation explores culture, community, faith, simplicity, understanding, and the beauty found in slowing down enough to genuinely listen. One of the strongest reminders from today is this: people may live differently, but the human heart often longs for many of the same things: connection, purpose, family, peace, and belonging. Through your experiences as an Amish taxi driver, you've helped bridge worlds that many people may never fully understand otherwise. Your storytelling invites listeners to move beyond assumptions and into curiosity, compassion, and respect. You also reminded us that wisdom is not always found in the loudest places. Sometimes it is found quietly in everyday conversations, shared roads, and simple moments. Here's some food for thought to leave with everyone today. What might change in your world if we spend more time trying to understand each other instead of trying to prove ourselves right? Because connection begins when judgment ends. Thank you, Haley, for sharing your journey, your perspective, and your meaningful lessons you've gathered along the road. Until next time, keep creating, understanding, and keep listening deeply, and keep serving real life tea one conversation at a time. And I'll see everybody, and we'll do this all over again at 7 p.m. So thank you so much, Haley. Thank you to all the listeners, and stay tuned. And if you'd like to know more about Miss Liz, check out www.misslizsteatime.com. The other website is no longer working, so please check out the main website for all updates.